Hey everybody, welcome back. It is Sunday morning. Hope you can see that. There we go. I can see it now too. Sunday morning on August 1st at 8:20. Our parts have been out all of the month of July. So let's bring them in and let's get the comparison started. Okay, so before we begin, there's a couple things to say and a couple things I think that are worthy of note. First and foremost, today's video is only going to be a visual comparison. The brake test I am going to do in the next video, probably coming out hopefully in 2, 3, 4 days. And the reason for that is, first and foremost, I don't want to let the video get too long. And secondly, and this is probably the main reason, I have to be set up out in my garage to do that. I'm not. It's hot and it's humid out and it's Sunday and I don't really feel like it. And you can't make me. So this is going to be the visual comparison. If you already think you know all you need to know in that regard, well, you know what? You might want to watch anyway because there are some things of note in this. So next thing to note is we have had another major thunderstorm and several minor ones here, but one, I think it was back on like the 22nd of July. We just got buckets and boatloads of water. Here's a short video showing what it looked like that evening. There goes that recycle bin. Okay, with that out of the way, the next thing to note is I did have to relabel these before I got them mixed up. The ones that were outdoors, you couldn't read the labeling at all anymore. Fortunately, I did label that board so I knew which was which, but I did have to completely relabel these, and I also added an O to them. If you can see it, I added an O to signify they were the ones outside. The other two you could still read the filament types on, but I did add an S to the ones that were in the shed and an I to the ones that were inside. One other thing worthy of note is the ones that were inside and the ones that were in the shed were on plastic rings. The only time the ones that were inside came off of those plastic rings, and I printed those plastic rings myself out of PLA. I must have printed 10, 12 of them just because I wanted them to try and help me keep this stuff separate so I wouldn't get them mixed up before I could get them labeled and separate. The ones that were outside came off the plastic rings when I took them out for the comparison. The ones that were in the shed never came off the plastic ring. Some people have asked me, well, what's the difference between the ones that you kept inside and the ones that were out in the shed? And the difference is probably about 40 degrees Fahrenheit. From the 78 to 80, we keep it inside the house in the summer with the air conditioning, and the 120 plus that it probably got out in that steel shed. Let me give you an example. This was one of the plastic rings. All of these that were in the shed were just loosely on this plastic ring and sitting on a table inside the shed. They did not move that entire time. This is the plastic ring they were on. That is what the heat inside that shed did to this PLA printed plastic ring. There was no pressure on it. It was not being pulled. It was not hanging. It was just laying on a table with these on it. So that's the difference. So with that being said, one other thing, and that is these parts, these TPU parts from Steadfast RC. The Steadfast RC YouTube channel to be exact. I have looked at the older videos. I think these have darkened and lost their bright orange appearance considerably, but you know what? It's kind of hard to tell from real life to a video. So I will be sending these back to the Steadfast RC channel, and they can do a comparison of their own. But I think it is worthy to note that they do not seem to have cracked. They do not seem to have lost their ability to bend. Again, this is very subjective. I think they're stiffer as well as being darker, but again, they will bend without cracking. So I think I'll send them back to them, and they can make a video and compare it and maybe change their TPU if they feel that it's necessary, if there might be a better one. Okay, with that being said, I've got a full cup of coffee. Let's get on with this comparison. Let's start with PLA. So here's the PLA inside. Let me get the other one. Where is it? I had them kind of sorted, then I messed them all up to kind of get them. Okay, PLAI and PLAI. Here's the one that was out in the shed. PLA, where are you? Here's the one that's out in the shed. And is there a difference? I can't tell. I don't see any difference in the color anyway. Let me find the flat one. I probably don't need to do those others, but and as I show you these, I will get rid of them so that I don't have to go through it. Here we go. Okay, these are PLA, and we have PLA indoors, PLA shed, and PLA outdoor. And as you can see, there is a significant difference in color between the three. And I'm really not seeing a difference in color between the ones that were in the shed and the ones that were indoors. They look the same. However, the outdoor one darkened and yellowed considerably. It didn't really seem to have warped just hanging there on that shed. Not on that shed. It didn't, let me try that again. It didn't seem to warp just hanging on that pegboard. It still seems pretty unwarped to me. However, interesting to note, the one that was in the shed does appear to have a bit of warpage. So I'm getting the feeling that it got a heck of a lot hotter in that steel shed than it was outside. The one indoors, again, like the one that was outdoors, is not warped. So, and we can't tell anything from these other than the color. So that's PLA. Let me get something to put them in here so we can get them out of our way. Let's put them in here with all the other plastic rings. And I'll sort them out again later for our brake test. All right, let's do PLA Plus. Here's PLA Plus indoors. Here is PLA Plus from the shed. And here is PLA Plus outdoors. There, and there. So, let's look at the color. And I'll be honest with you, I don't see a bit of difference. Now, this is a question that I wish I had known to ask myself before I started this, and that is, will the one with the white pigment resist changing color more than the ones with no pigment at all that are natural or transparent? I am seeing maybe a tiny bit of warpage in this one that says outdoors, but you know what? It's so tiny it could have come off the printer that way. The shed one shows it the same right at the very top where the projection with the hole is, and the indoor one does not show it. So there may be a tiny bit of warpage from the heat and the pressure of the hook, but they did not change color at all, I don't think. But I think what I'm going to have to do, I think I'm going to have to get a PLA and a PLA Plus from the same manufacturer and see in either transparent or white, and see if the difference is PLA Plus or the pigment in why the PLA changed color so drastically and the PLA Plus did not. Yep, I think I'm going to have to do that. I don't want to, but I think I'm going to have to. So let's get those out of the way. Let's do PETG next. Here's PETG that was indoors. Here is PETG that was in the shed. And here is the PETG that was outdoors. Where is it? Where are you, PETG outdoor? There it is there. All right, so indoor, shed, and outdoor. Can you see any difference between them? I do. The outdoor one definitely, let's look at the same side of them. Let's look at the print bed side in all three. Yeah, they're considerably different. I'm not sure if there's any difference between, I'm not sure why this one looks far more transparent than that one. That is kind of odd. Oh, wait a minute, that's ABS. Never mind. Let's try again. Where'd PETG go? PETG outdoor, PETG indoor. I need PETG shed. I'm screwing up. I'm sorry. There it is back there. Oh, my bad, my bad. Okay, here we go. Here we go. All right, PETG, you guys caught that, I know, and I didn't. Whoops, I'm dropping it again. I think there's a difference. I think the outdoor one absolutely got, not only did it get darker, but it got less transparent. However, it is not horribly noticeable. If you were holding it up on its own, you would probably not say that it is darker, but it is slightly darker, and I think slightly more opaque, slightly less transparent than the other two. But it is not big. It is not a big difference. Okay, so that's PETG. What's next? Let's do nylon. There is, see if I can do it without screwing up this time. Maybe, you know what? I need more caffeine. Hang on. Absolutely, too much blood in my caffeine system. Okay, nylon indoors. Nylon shed. This is seriously tasking my organizational skills, I'll have you know. And nylon outdoors. Nylon, okay. So, nylon indoors, nylon shed, and nylon outdoor. And I'll be honest with you, I can't see any difference at all between them. Now, I forgot to show you with the PETG, didn't I? The PETG did not warp, but the nylon, this is the nylon indoor, and you can see it gained a little bit of warpage. The one in the shed gained even more warpage, and then the one in the outdoors darn near turned into a potato chip. So being in the heat in the outdoors did cause more warpage to the nylon than indoors did. So, but as far as appearance is concerned, I can't tell any difference. They all look the same, exactly the same to me. So, interesting. And they all have that little nylon flex to them, even the one that was outdoor. So, that's going to be interesting. Anyway, let's get those out of the way for now. And what should we do next? Here's ABS. ABS was the one that everybody told me would absolutely not handle UV. So this is ABS that was indoors. This is ABS that was in the shed. And this is ABS that was outdoors. So let's look at them. Indoors, shed, and outdoor. And I gotta tell you, the outdoor one did change color. It yellowed a little bit, but it did not yellow anywhere near as much as I had expected it to. And I'm kind of curious as to why. Some of you may remember I printed a set of Jeep taillight lenses out of the transparent ABS, and it yellowed like old parchment paper. Now, it was probably not the same brand of ABS, but nonetheless, ABS is ABS. But it did yellow some. Did it warp? The one that stayed indoor, it's as flat as a pancake. The one that was in the shed, it's as flat as a pancake. And the one that was outdoors, oh, it's got a slight curvature to it. I really hate to call that and say it warped, because it is, I don't know, I'm not going to say that warped. I mean, there's enough of a difference of them when right off the print bed for me to not want to say that the heat and UV did that. Now, is it as flexible? ABS is not terribly flexible to begin with. It is tough. I'm not feeling a difference. They'll all flex a little bit and feels about the same, but we will find out more when we do the brake test. So that's ABS. Let's get those out of the way. All right, ASA. Let's do ASA next. Here's ASA that was indoors. Here's ASA that was in the shed. And here's ASA that was outdoors. Now, everybody told me ASA is the king of outdoor filament. Let's see if we get any indications of that. Wait a minute, that one says resin, not ASA. Let's not make that mistake again. All right, ASA, ASA, and ASA. I see zero difference between them. How about you? Now, one thing interesting to note is the ASA that was outdoor, when I relabeled it, the black marker absorbed into the filament a lot. And it did not do that to any great degree before when I labeled these originally. But it really, really bled into the filament. I don't know if that's just a fluke. Maybe I used a different marker. I don't know, but just something to think about. But as far as warpage is concerned, no, there isn't any warpage there that isn't in the indoor one. Now, ASA has never printed really nice for me. It's always been on the rough side, and you can see that. This is the bed side, this is the other side. You can see it's always been kind of on the rough side for me. And I'm blaming myself for that. I just don't have it worked out yet. But that is the ASA. One thing let's do before we get any further is let's go back and grab the PETG ones again, because I forgot to look at warpage on PETG. And I want to do that before we go on any further, because I don't think we're going to do these, I don't think we're going to be doing these flat pieces again in the next video. We're mainly going to be working with the others, and of course I can't find the other PETG one. There it is. All right, so let's take a quick look at warpage on the PETG since I forgot. Here is PETG indoor, PETG shed, and PETG outdoor. So here's the one I printed. It's got, I don't know, maybe a tiny little bit of warpage. The one in the shed, I would call it about the same. And the one that's outdoor, I would say it's the same. So no warpage on PETG. Sorry, I forgot that when I did it. So polycarbonate, let's do polycarbonate. Polycarbonate is another one people told me will not handle UV. So here's polycarbonate indoor, here's polycarbonate shed, and here's polycarbonate outdoor. And now, I don't know where that dark spot on this one came from. I think something just got burnt, because that was there when it got printed, so that isn't anything that happened post-print process. So, can you see any difference between indoor, shed, and outdoor? And I'll have to admit, I think there is, but you know what? If I tip it in a different direction slightly, what I see as the difference disappears. So I'm gonna go to no difference, or so minimal that it can't really be detected. If you looked at it by itself, you'd swear it was as good as new. I think some of the difference is the background behind it, since it is transparent to some degree. Warpage, polycarbonate is something that I have had problems with warpage. So this actually, the indoor one, there is a tiny bit of warpage to it. It is not 100% flat, but it is about as good as I get. And here is polycarbonate from the shed, the one with that mark in it. And it is, to my eye, it is about the same. And here is the outdoor one. And yeah, there's no difference from the others. Or not so much that can't be explained away just by the print process and the fact that no two things ever come out identical off of a 3D printer. Now, as far as the flex is concerned, polycarbonate has a tendency to shatter. I don't have any eye protection on other than my regular glasses, so I'm going to be pretty careful about how I bend this. You can see it has a bit of give to it. The outdoor one feels about the same, as does the one from the shed. They look and feel about the exact same to me. The brake test will tell us more, hopefully. So let's get rid of the polycarbonate. That leaves us, wait a minute, that says PLA plus. We did PLA plus, I don't need that one. That leaves us with POM and resin. Let's get the POM out of the way first because this warped so bad that I never made one of these shapes with it. So here's the 3 POM. And I couldn't get the same thicknesses because they warped so bad they came loose from the printer at different times. But here is POM, indoor, shed, and outdoor. And honestly, they're all warped so bad I'm not even going to slightly try and compare warpage. That happened on the printer. As far as the color is concerned, I don't see any difference visually in the color. As far as flexing is concerned, that's not fair because they're not all the same thickness. So that was very disappointing with POM. I am not done working with POM. I am going to try and get better at printing it. I don't know what the answer is, whether it's a different filament, a different maker of POM, or whether it's something that just is not going to be printable on a hobbyist level printer. So anyway, that was disappointing. That's POM. Let's do resin. Resin is last. So resin indoors, resin shed, and resin outdoors. Now if you'll remember, resin turned yellow really, really, really fast. And then over a period of many days, it lightened again. So resin indoor, resin shed, and resin outdoor. There is still a noticeable difference. This just plain is not as white as indoor and shed. It is more of a, I don't know what you'd call that, off-white, eggshell maybe, I don't know. But it is not as white anymore as these two. Now, as far as warpage is concerned, even the one that came off the printer and stayed inside now has a slight warpage to it. And resin does not come off the build plate warped. It comes off the build plate absolutely flat. So this warped over time, even staying in the air-conditioned environment. The one in the shed, honestly, it may be a little more, but honestly, it's not. If it is, it's very, very minimal. The outdoor one, again, it has the same bow to it. Is it more? I don't really think so. I think they all three got a bit of concave, got a bit of a dish in them. I don't think it's any different. Why does this one have so many more holes in it than that one does? I can't remember. I thought I printed those all with the exact same. I must have changed something. I don't remember why. Yeah, look at the difference. I have more drain holes in this one than that one. And shockingly enough, it didn't seem to change the warpage any. So they all warped. The outdoor one changed the color the most, but it was slowly changing back. That was, I found that to be really fascinating. So there you have it. That is the visual comparison test. In the next few days, I will be doing both the brake test and sending the orange TPU back to the Steadfast RC channel. Thank you for watching. Thank you for staying on through this, for me anyway, epic series of poor organization and outdoor filament test. Hope you guys had a great weekend, or are having a great weekend since it is still Sunday at this moment, and I'll catch you the next time. Bye for now.